everyone, it's Brooke Burke, and this is Hollywood Raw, and we are dishing all kinds of things from ayahuasca to Dancing with the Stars to being hired and to being fired and lots of other stuff that I shouldn't have talked about, so check it out.
Hey guys, welcome to the Hollywood Raw YouTube page. Make sure you drop a comment, like, subscribe.
Do all the fun things.
Follow
everything. We're here to entertain you guys.
What are you waiting for? Hurry up, let's go.
Enjoy. What's up, Brooke? How have you been? Thank you for joining us.
Of course, it's good to be here. Well, I'm here. It's good to be with you guys. It's so weird, isn't it? It's all weird.
It is weird. Like after the pandemic, it's like just the whole virtual way of life these days. But I want to get into it. So how have you been? What have you been up to recently, just to start it off?
You know what? Thank you for starting it off with caring about that. I'm good. I'm good. I mean, this whole new world, new way of being has been a major shift for my family, for me, for business. I am good. I value the pace. I've had a chance to do a lot of things that I never would have got to be honest. The fact that time has slowed quite truly has been a blessing. And I say that with respect to all the challenges too. But I'm good. My kids are good. Everybody's healthy. I've enjoyed having them home for the last year and a half, guys. I'm in the LA school system. Like really?
Okay. Now, Brooke, be honest. I am a father of two. Having the children home a lot was a little rough. I have younger kids though. I do have a 6 and 9, and some of these days I was like, we got to get back into school.
It was all things. I feel you. I have kids a little older, so I have 22, 19, 14, and 13. We are not morning people. So I was not mad at the fact that I didn't have to get up at 6:30, put my sweats on, reheat my coffee 3 times, and hit the road for 2 hours to drive all of them to different places. So just real talk. We all agree on that in our house. I had like a senior at home, and my daughter's in college at home studying online. Like I never would have got that year with her, and as siblings for my children with each other, they never would have had that time to get, never. You can't even beg for a family dinner with an 18, 19-year-old. Yeah. So I don't know. I kind of liked it.
What area in California are you?
I'm in Malibu.
Malibu. Did you send your kids to public school or private school?
Both. So had them all in private school for a while, took the 2 youngest out because I didn't love the experience enough. 2 daughters graduated. They did fine. They're totally well prepared for the next chapter. I went to public school. I wanted to, you don't know as a new parent, right? You don't know the first time. Maybe you may never figure it out, but you think you're making the right decisions. And I have no regrets. But for my 2 younger kids, I wanted them to have a little bit more of a real slice of life. So took them out of private. They're both now back in public. We've already moved schools, and it's kind of a year by year geographically.
I think it's a great idea. Honestly, I think that there's just something different when you put a kid in public school, because a lot of, my wife started off in private, went to public, and there's a different mentality, I would say. And I think it's just, there's just a difference. And so I think that's a good way to bring children into the real life.
That's right. When I took my number 3, my youngest daughter out of private and put her in public, and there was some, normal life problems at school. And she's like, well, there was no psychologist. Like nobody called us into the office. Like nobody called you, Mom. Like I go, this is your learning opportunity. Now you get to go deal with it on your own. I'm here if you need me. Mm-hmm. This isn't like mommy's problem to solve. Now you get to go roll your sleeves up and figure it out.
Yeah.
And I'm a little tough in that area with my kids, but very different. And all of the experiences were great, by the way, private and public, just different, and different kids and, needing different spaces. That's it.
How great is Malibu? It's the coolest. I was just there. I love it there. You love it?
I love Malibu. I work kind of in a bubble, I don't get into town. I call it the big city. I'm pretty boring. I think people in Malibu stay home. It closes down at 8:30. It's quiet. I do love it though. I kind of like that slope in contrast to the hustle and bustle of life and entertainment and all that.
Who's the celeb that you run into the most in Malibu? Is there somebody you just always run into? The Country Mart or?
I know. I'm just like, ooh, I'm gonna name drop. I don't know. I mean, celeb. Not. I mean, I work out with Alessandra a lot. Ambrosio, hottie supermodel. One of my closest friends is Mark Burnett. I'll be with him tomorrow night. We're either at his house or at our house, and it all sounds kind of cheeky and bougie, but it's real life. We're in the business. We like each other. We're as normal as people in the business could be, I guess.
Yeah, and they all live
at all of our houses. There's always, everybody's always there. I won't gag on the name dropping, but
yeah. So they all live in Malibu too, like Mark, and that's like part of that Malibu area.
Yeah. I mean, everybody. There's so many people out here, and the reality is there's not much to do here. So we do a lot of dinner parties, and we all hang out and love our privacy and accept each other's weirdness, and
I love it. No, it's awesome. It's so beautiful.
It's so funny because me being from Orange County, whenever someone's like, "Oh, come to Malibu, come to my house, come to some," I'm like, "No."
Like, and if the sun's not out,
it feels so far away.
Yeah, if the sun's not shining, no one's visiting you either. So
exactly. So hey, congratulations on the engagement.
Thank you.
That is very exciting, Scott Rigsby. But how did it happen? Can you give us the story? Was it a surprise? Was this something that you guys had talked about for a while? Like, give us the lowdown.
No. We didn't talk about it for a while. I didn't think I'd ever get engaged. It feels so adolescent to me, although I love and appreciate it. And I love him for asking me to marry him and stepping up, and he did great. And I have this gorgeous ring.
Let's see that. Put that thing up to the camera.
Which is still so weird. The whole thing is still, even when you said it, I was like, oh yeah, that. He's an amazing man. He's perfect for me. And I don't use the word perfect very often. It just works, and the kids are happy, and everyone's embracing it in 2 homes and a blended family. And we laugh. We have so much fun together. I didn't expect it. I thought it might happen. I didn't know how or when. A lot of big things happened that month. I turned 50, which was so weird. And then I was praying he wasn't going to ask me at the birthday party, because that would have been mortifying, because it's hard enough to have a party, and then it's kind of like a private thing for me. You know what I mean? And then we went off on vacation. So all these things happened. I got engaged. I turned 50. We went to Europe. We were coming out of the pandemic. It was all overwhelming. He had the ring and asked me to marry him on the way to the airport, very spontaneously. I don't think that was his plan. I think he got worried about having the ring and traveling with the ring in his pocket or in a box or going through TSA. I don't know. Like, I don't know how.
So did he ask you in the car?
Almost. No, he like literally asked me in the house, like right before we got. It was just, the whole thing scared me because it all happened so fast. It all happened so fast and unexpectedly. But it was sweet and raw and unrehearsed, and just like him, it was perfect.
That ring is unbelievable. By the way.
Thank you.
How big is it? Can you tell? Are you allowed to?
It's big.
Yeah. Like I
always look at that. I'm like, I'm not a jeweler. I have no idea.
No, I know.
But I feel like as a woman, it's like you kind of know, because you have to get insured, so you know what the ring's valued as. And then also, I feel like as a guy, you want to give it to her as soon as possible, because you don't want to hold on too long just in case some shit happens. It's like, no, it was her fault. It wasn't mine.
You know, like, you're right. It kind of takes the romance out of it too, because it comes with paperwork and it's all weird. You know what I mean? And then like, how big is it? You know, it's funny because my friend had said to me, he goes, well, you kind of had to step up, dude, because you couldn't like kind of not do it. Like if you're going to do it, you have to do it big.
Yeah.
Poor guy.
Do you guys have any plans for the wedding? Is that on the schedule, or
not yet?
Taking it one day at a time kind of thing?
Taking it one day at a time. I'm like, I just got engaged. I need to like wrap my head around that. Not yet. I don't know yet. I didn't have a wedding the first or second time.
You really didn't? No?
I wait a minute. That sounded really mean and not appropriate. Wait, let me backtrack. I had a wedding. Sorry, guys. Sorry to my exes. I didn't have a big wedding, but the first time was like under a tree in Orange County, and it was like just immediate family. I mean, like less than 10 people. And when I married David, we did it on a sailboat in St. Bart's. We didn't even tell our parents. We like snuck away and did it, and it was just our kids. And I did it all backwards. So maybe this time I'll get it right and do it right. The kids really want us to have a big wedding and the wedding dress and the whole thing. So we're going to figure it out. We're going to do something really meaningful and special for the family. And probably not traditional. Probably something a little hippy dippy if he lets me have my way.
What is hippy dippy? Yeah, like I'm just curious. What does that mean to you?
I have all these like, really spiritual things at my house. Like I do sound baths and I teach classes and I have a Native American teepee and I do breath work in there. And, we all play instruments and crystals are he likes.
I was going to say, I see the crystal around your neck.
He likes to make fun of all these things that I do that I feel are really meaningful. And
hey, we spoke to Spencer Pratt, like, I don't know, a month or two ago. He is so fascinated with all the crystal stuff, and like
he's got a lot of them.
So many. Have you ever spoke to Spencer?
No, I haven't, but I believe it. I believe it. And you know what? I do all these frequency shifting things too, and that's why I say hippy dippy, because I'm okay if it sounds a little weird, but it's not. It's a real thing, and all the vibrations and the bowls and the sound baths and a lot of things that I do now in my practice and my business they really feel good, and they really change you if you let them. So it's not that guy.
Have you done ayahuasca?
Yeah.
How many times?
I did a 2-day journey once, and then I also did a very medicinal therapy journey with my ex on a Rockefeller property in New York with not a shaman, like with a psychiatrist / doctor. And then I did a full-blown shaman ayahuasca journey in Malibu that was wild and deep and hard and so many things. Why'd you ask? Why'd you ask?
No, because you said you're into all this stuff, so I just figured you're into all the hippity dippity. So I was like, all right, she must have done some ayahuasca, some soul searching. But
I hosted it at the beach house. Yes, it was me.
Well, I've heard crazy stories. Like I personally have never done ayahuasca, so I don't know much about it other than the stories. But is it as kind of? I mean, I've heard it obviously off when Robin did it from the Howard Stern show. I heard Megan Fox did it recently. Yeah. Is it as kind of wild and crazy? Like I was surprised they did it with other people they didn't know there, being such famous celebrities, and they're talking about throwing up and all this kind of stuff. And I was like, whoa, that's intense.
I would not do that. That surprises me too. It's interesting. Let me see if I can kind of recap because I spent a lot of time sort of studying it as well. A lot of people do it in large group settings, in the safety of being guided with the appropriate amount of people and shamans and rules, if you will. I'm a very private person in that. I wouldn't say it's wild and crazy. It's wild and fascinating and deep, and it's equivalent to hundreds of hours of therapy if you let it. And I'm not going to bash on it, but I do want to say all of the amazing psychedelic things that happen, you're tripping. Like, I don't care how you slice it and how spiritual, soulful people say it is this Mother Earth thing. I'm not bagging on it because I have no regrets, but you're purging and puking and hallucinating because you're taking a drug that rocks your world and your system. And some people think you're purging the darkness and all these things. I'm not making fun of it because I purged a lot of things in my own journey, but it's really hard on your system. It's a lot of things. I mean, it's a vision quest. You see things, you're guided, you imagine things, you learn, you face a lot of things, you discover a lot of things. I've had as intense experiences doing breathwork classes that are completely natural. I've done a more of a medicinal guided, therapy. The other experience I shared with you that, you're not puking and vomiting and doing other gross things. and sometimes it's a matter of just turning off your cerebral part of your brain and getting present and learning how to listen and discover other things in your body. It's fascinating. I know people who do it all the time. I have a hard time connecting that with like therapy, party versus therapy. People do it for lots of different reasons. And it's deep, hard work. It's not fun. It's not fun at all.
Yeah,
At all.
it's not. Yeah, it's not a party thing. It's like this
It is
is.
not a party.
Do you microdose?
No.
No.
And I'm kind of fascinated in learning more about that. I'm pretty healthy by means of what I put into my body. I'm also very open to experiment with other things. And, I'm hearing more and more about microdosing, even in a sports world.
Yeah.
And just tweaking the brain. I don't know enough about it scientifically and medically. And I think most people don't too, and right now it's really quite a scary time, I think, dabbling with chemicals and all kinds of crazy things that are happening with fentanyl, and people are dying and people are experimenting and taking chances. And it's a really scary time as a mom, just as a human being in a world where we're exposed to a lot of things. It's, I don't know how we went down this drug lane, but
look at me, come on.
It seems to be a topic of conversation, a lot, amongst my peers, because it's a really scary time, and we're hearing horrific stories of substance abuse and pills and other things.
I don't know where you're getting.
Not for me, but a scary time for sure.
If you were going to recommend one thing that you do that maybe isn't a normal, I don't want to say medicine or therapy, whether it's healing crystals, what would be the one thing you would recommend to people that maybe they would normally poo-poo, but you're like, no, this thing you should actually try. It could change your life.
God, I love it. I love this question. I would say breath work, because it changed my life, and I teach it, and I do live events, and breath work in really simple forms, also equivalent to hundreds of hours of therapy. It's a moment to be still. It's a time to discover, to learn, to remember things, to turn off your brain, to lay there. I take people on a journey through music. I teach them how to breathe. Technique is important, but it doesn't matter if you get it wrong. It's just like giving yourself an hour to lay down and take care of yourself. And we don't do that. Most people don't do that, I should say. It's not easy. It's a practice. I teach that kind of stuff. I love mindful meditation. It's hard for me to just get zen and stop thinking and meditate. So I meditate with music. I do it when my adrenaline, dopamine, and everything's really high and the body's depleted after a workout. The type of workouts that I teach are really to sort of create that energy that allows you to get still and shut things off. I do it outside in the sunlight, vitamin D, dopamine, adrenaline, serotonin, all the stuff that's free that we need, that we ignore until the pandemic, when classes were taken away. Now I have people in my yard laying on the earth, and I'm changing their frequency. And that's why I say hippy dippy.
Do you do this as a podcast? Because I feel like that's a podcast right there.
I know, right?
You just telling them to breathe, and there's an element of getting healthy, but there's also an element of ASMR with the breathing into a microphone. I feel like could really put someone into a trance. You should. I
know. I don't do it as a podcast, but we are opening up the world to do sort of global connections and do it via Zoom through my fitness app. And I think the reality is not everybody's ready to get into a room. We're still afraid of breath. Like, how are we afraid of breath? But we are right now. We have to be. We're living differently. And we have an opportunity in the digital space right now to reach thousands of people around the globe. So yeah, totally working on that. I love in person, and eye contact. I still need it, but I do, big classes, and then we open it up to, a digital possibility for people who just can't get places. And I think that's a new way that we're living. It's a whole nother, look at us now. We don't even get to be in a room together yet. Here we are, and it's normal, and it's weird. Right?
Yeah, I love it.
What's the wildest thing that you've done to kind of do as a beauty enhancer? And what I mean by that is in New York, I know they have the bird poop facials. I know they do stuff where people do that. They do stuff where you sit on a pot, they steam your vagina or your butthole. But have you done anything crazy?
Oh my God, I have not done that, but one of my podcasts that I was doing was Intimate Knowledge. And so our sex and intimacy coach, she's really into all that stuff. I think it's all fascinating. One of the weirdest things that I've done is probably the bird poop facial sounds disgusting, but I've done the vampire facial where
Yeah. How was that?
all your skin and it's your own blood and you look like a freak. And I'm like, well, no wonder your face looks so good. You're swollen. Like I'm the Debbie Downer on most of these things because I review so many things and I get so much stuff sent to me, and I've experimented and tortured myself with so much stuff. And at the end of the day, well, like, how was it? I'm like, the experience, I don't know that all these things are really making that much of a difference.
Okay,
Yeah.
so being in LA, and you obviously have made a career off beauty and looks and brains and all that stuff, but focusing on beauty right now, is there a treatment out there that you are like, it is such BS and it's popular, but it does nothing and people keep falling for it?
So many. I mean, look, there's so many. I'm really particular about what I put into my body and what I put on my skin. And it's hard to know when you're living a healthy lifestyle what you're really benefiting from. I can't say that there's one thing that people are really subscribing to. That's bogus, because I'm dabbling and experimenting with things that I'm like kind of like a body of evidence, and the things that I'm doing, I want to believe in conjunction with each other. They're all working. I'm trying to think of a scam, because I mean, it is a fun question. I don't know. I mean, I take collagen. I believe in that. I've been taking True Niagen for 5 years. I'm a big believer in NAD. I do NAV, IV.
NAD. Oh, you do the drip. You get
I
sick
do
from
the
it?
drips, which are hard to do.
Yeah.
They're expensive. They take 3 to 4 hours. Men don't really dig them because it feels like a horse is standing on your chest. I've been doing them for years, and Scott does them too. I love it. But I also take a supplement called True Niagen that helps your body,
Sure.
stimulate your own production of NAD. I love that for energy, cellular metabolism. I do all kinds of biohacking stuff. Like, my garage looks like a science lab. I am really into it, from infrared saunas to like red light therapy.
You have the Juve light? What light do you have? Do you do?
I have the, do I have one?
No, it's all right. You don't have to go.
I
But you
have
have
the
one of those?
Beetle red light, which is great.
Yeah,
I have
yeah.
the full body one.
Oh, it's awesome, dude.
I
Those
have the
things are
face
games.
one.
Yeah.
And if you were to break it down and not get all geeky and scientific, when you look into a red light, it's like looking at the sunset. That's why it feels so good. And people are like, oh, you actually look into it, it feels good. It's that sweet light.
Yeah.
It sets your circadian rhythm. Like, I listen to frequency sleep playlists. Like, I do all kinds of stuff.
I love it. I'm into that shit. Do you do Wim Hof?
I have done the ice baths with the Wim Hof technique. I do a different breath work technique. I've done it because
I knew it. I knew you were a box breather.
But
I know all this shit, Dax. I love it.
I'm fascinated right now. I know none of this, and I am like, wow, what are you guys talking about? This is cool.
Clearly, we're geeks, and I like to shock my system, and I hate ice baths, but I believe in the benefit of it. I like fire and ice, where you go sauna.
Sure.
And then I mean, it is fucking hard, and it hurts, and it burns. Yeah. And terrible. But then you feel like a superhero. I do something called Beamer that I do 8 minutes twice a day. It's a long pad, and it's connected to this computer-ish type of thing, and it improves circulation and recovery time. I check out of my world for those 8 minutes. I lay down. It just improves like blood flow and recovery and circulation. So all these things, some are more pricier than others. I do something called Newcom, which is a subscription now. It's on your phone. It's an app. I can get like 4 hours of recovery sleep time in 20 minutes. You put this little, like, my kids make fun of me, this little like power sticker on your wrist, and you wear these, you black out the light and you put your headphones in and you listen to this app. It's amazing for recovery. Newcom, NUCALM.
Well, it's working because you look phenomenal.
Well,
so
thank you.
all of the stuff you're combining together seems to be working out perfectly.
I'll take it. Thanks.
So can we get into your modeling career? I think I love when we have models, former models, people that have been in the modeling industry on the podcast, because they've all had such interesting lives, interesting stories to tell from their modeling days. Mm-hmm. You were discovered at a pretty young age. How did that impact your life?
Wow. Body image is such a mindfuck for so many people, especially women. I'm raising 3 daughters. I feel really lucky to have done the things that I've done in my business. So I have no regrets, and I've had an awesome career, and I'm so lucky to still be working, right? I'm 5'6", And I always lied and said I was like 5'8" on my tippy toes. I would like stretch my body, try to be so tall. I was never really big enough to be successful in the modeling world. So I think I probably worked harder and smarter than a lot of other people. Did a lot of fitness type of stuff, which size is less important. But I think I always had that realistic knowledge, but also knew I was never going to be good enough in that space. But I approached it with a lot of honesty. So I didn't let it squash me. I just knew that I needed to do a lot of other things that other people weren't, which is why I went into commercials and advertising and broadcast and journalism and whatnot. And then I think the whole career just toughens you up if you let it, because you hear no 1,000 times. It's always a competition between you and other people. So you're kind of a victim to this weird business where your career and your process is in someone else's hands. It's the same thing in television. You're hired, you're fired. I've done the greatest shows. I've been fired from ABC. I hosted the greatest show on television. I got fired. Like, I've been through the whole process. And the blessing in all of that is that I've had a great foundation at home. I've had a solid team of people around me that I love and trust, counted on my family, and built that real life fairy tale at home, that kept me grounded in a world that comes and goes in entertainment, if that makes sense,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Do you did Playboy? Was that, how many times did you were on the cover, but how many times did you actually do Playboy?
I was on the cover twice. So I did more of like the celebrity pictorial. How was that? Really scary and really well thought out. And it's funny because when you're younger, you're like, oh, I'm owning this and it's going to be so empowering, like get naked, blah, blah, blah. And then you get a little bit older and then it's another decade. And then every interview was about, oh, I'm going to raise my kids not to be judgmental and I'm really comfortable with it. Now, like at my age, I look back and I'm like, why the fuck did I do that? So it's, it's a really honest, like it's a really fascinating journey because, I also have kids now. And I think when you're young, you don't know that everything that you do that is public will be part of your journey forever. I don't have any regrets, but would I tell my daughters to do that? Hard no. Doing it at the time for me was, I think, a positive decision at the time. And I also did more of a conservative pictorial than most. I had like a French photographer and then I had a Playboy photographer. And I didn't show everything, but I showed enough that you could probably find it if you were looking. but the decision-making process for a young woman is so complicated and so naive, that looking back now, it's prevented me from doing some things and it's allowed me to do other things. And, I always look at somebody like a Cindy Crawford, like boss in an endorsement world. She's done everything and everything. And I think when you're a supermodel, you kind of get to do that. I wasn't a supermodel. And then there's a lot of really cheeky and cheesy pictorials that you see. So you kind of get lumped into that Playboy thing. But
I'm actually kind of surprised to hear that it would hinder you. And the only reason I say that is because I feel that the Playboy world, years ago was the hot place to go. It made careers. It put people on the map.
Yeah.
So what kind of company wouldn't have signed you at that point? Because the biggest celebrities on the planet were doing Playboy.
Yeah, very fair. So, in those sort of ethical clauses, I've had a pretty squeaky clean career. So I work for companies like Procter and Gamble and AT&T and like all these like middle America, Skechers, like Chicken Soup for the Soul, things like this. And there's been a couple times where, some people can't get past the headline. Some people can't get past even the bio of Playboy. That, it would prevent certain contracts from going forward. Very, very rare though. Very rare. I mean, I work for the greatest family brand ever. I've worked for Skechers for decades. It couldn't be more conservative and mainstream.
Or ABC.
Exactly. On ABC and understanding the process. But, even companies, even networks like ABC, when I was in the ballroom and I had, the fabulous, glam squad, they would come in and check for cleavage and check for side boob. And it's like, it's a whole thing. It's a whole thing, not on CBS.
Yeah.
So, it's interpretation really, right?
So I'm sure you got to meet Hef a bunch of times, correct? And you had a relationship with or friendship with him.
Not that much, really. I think when you're a playmate and you're hanging out at the mansion, it's different. Celebrity pictorials, he's really never involved. I think he makes final decisions. So not really. I've met him a few times. And I kind of, grew up in Arizona and came from a much different world. And I wasn't sort of wowed by that.
Yeah.
So it wasn't really my jam. I didn't really want to hang out in that space. Not to judge anyone. It just wasn't really my thing,
I have just this idea of Hugh Hefner. I feel like he was the type of guy when he met a girl, especially a playmate, maybe not you, because you weren't necessarily a playmate. You were a celeb centerfold.
I also have brown hair.
Okay. Oh, yeah, that's true.
Oh yeah. I think he liked blondes with big, I think his epitome of think about it. Yeah. All his girls were like the blonde bombshells.
Pamela Anderson's. Yep.
Brown hair, brown eyes. Not that interesting.
I feel like you're still an attractive girl, but I feel like when he would meet people and when he would meet girls especially, he'd always kiss you on the mouth. I think that was his thing. Every time I saw videos of him at a party, someone would kiss on the mouth. Was he a mouth kisser? Like when he would say hi, even though it wasn't like relationship?
I don't know if I've ever even kissed him on the cheek when I have met him. No. Ew, that'd be no, I don't. I'm not
Dax,
I don't remember.
Dax, is that weird? Like, I feel like he would always be like creepy and just like kiss on the mouth.
That
like,
is
or
totally weird and
close near the lips. Like it was just weird.
Can you?
I don't remember. He's a weird dude, man.
I didn't even like that. What if his lips were wet or ooh. No, I don't even. That would be. I don't care who you are. That's weird, right?
Yeah.
No, I never.
Yeah, it's not cool.
Yeah, weird.
Missed it.
Can I ask you some questions about Dancing with the Stars? Because I think that show has had this shelf life that has been unbelievable, unparalleled compared to so many other shows. Like shows don't stick around for this many seasons, and you were a huge part of that show for a very long time. I did want to ask, there's been a lot of criticism towards Tyra this season, and you're one of the only people that has been in that role, in that position. And I'm just curious what your thoughts are. Is it deserved? Is it's undeserved? Is it just the show? It has been around so long, maybe the interest level is going down. What's your thoughts on all the criticism Tyra's been getting?
This is a very loaded question for me, boys.
Yeah.
Okay. So yes, I'm also surprised when a show like that has legs. You look at The Bachelor and you look at that franchise and Dancing with the Stars, America's Home Videos, like how people still love the show, and Dancing with the Stars has gone through so many shifts. So I want to say that when I came on and took Samantha's place as a host, I did it with a lot of compassion. I actually know her. Change is hard for a lot of people. I was really lucky that everyone embraced it, maybe because I danced on the show. Mm-hmm. Maybe because I'm nice. Did I just say that? No, I think change is hard. Samantha danced also to give herself some cred and some compassion in the process of leaning into the interviews with people that were competing. She danced just to experience it. I would recommend that for everyone. I would recommend that for Tyra. It gives you another level of relatability with the people that are scared shitless on the show, and you're trying to support them and engage with them. I don't hear, great things, in my world right now. I don't hear great feedback on both sides. And, I probably know too much. To be really honest, I'm not watching the show. Mm-hmm. I still have great friends. I mean, Derek Huff and I will forever be connected. Carrie Ann, the judges, Len, Bruna, they're all amazing. I had such an incredible experience on the show, on the dance floor and off the dance floor. In the ballroom, with all the contestants, I can remember as a host when they didn't even want to talk to me. And I totally understood it because their adrenaline was so high that they couldn't even hear me because I was there. I was them. I was so scared where it's almost like a blur. So I don't know. I just, my skill set hosting that show was so night and day from anyone else because I competed. I failed. I conquered. I screwed up my dances. I won. I was terrified. I couldn't breathe. You know what I mean? What do you really want to know?
I'm just curious what you think what she could work on to really succeed in that role, because you had succeeded for a very long time in that role and she's still a newbie there.
Yeah, I'm not watching the show, so I don't know. And I think Tyra is such a massive personality in and of herself. I think she's a diva. I think that's a good thing. I don't mean that as a jab. It's really hard to walk in there and bring your diva self to the ballroom when it's not really about you. It was never about me and Tom. It was about everybody else. And it was about celebrating every celebrity on that show. And, I got to dress up like a princess and have my moment, but my moment was to showcase everybody else. That's a skill set, to be able to do that. Even with Tom and I, we were partners. It wasn't about him or me. I mean, he embraced me with open arms on that show and made me better than I was because he was so welcoming and he had no ego. So
what I'm hearing is focused, the attention should shift off of one person onto the cast is what I'm hearing.
It's not about the host on a show like that.
Yeah.
You seam it all together. And on a live show, it's a team effort. It's a team effort there in the ballroom. And I had a blast with everybody on that show. I don't know what it's like behind the scenes now. And I'm not really watching the show. So I don't know.
Yeah. You just not, is your heart not into it as much, or it's just,
well, they fired me.
So it is. I feel you. It's like, why go back and watch something when you're like, I'm not on it anymore?
No, I'm kidding. That's a harsh word. You know what? I was there for 7 seasons. I did everything I needed to do there, and it's just hard to take myself out of it and watch it from another. If I had a friend on that was competing or whatnot, I would watch and support. And I'm grateful. Like, I had a great time on that show.
How does a show like that let you know that you will not be there anymore? Because that's got to be a really hard discussion. And we've talked to so many people that have been put in that same situation, and their understanding of the situation has differed so much. Some people, it's like they get called in with all the execs. Other people get a text from their agent that they won't be returning. How did you find out that Dancing with the Stars was like,
these are such juicy questions at a time right now where so many people have been fired for whatever reasons in this weird time that we're living in. It would be fascinating for everybody to really understand what really happens. It would be fascinating and shocking and really disappointing. I got a call from my producer when I was on my way to school in the car driving my kids to school.
Oh, that's brutal.
Yeah.
And what do they say? They're just like, hey, we're going to go a different direction.
Yeah, pretty much, but not that nice. It's interesting because, networks, there's so many decisions that have to happen. It's just not everybody is up and up, not everybody really cares about the bigger picture and the long play and your family and your life and the commitments, and that just nothing, you can't take anything for granted in this business. And, on the positive side of it, sometimes change is necessary and it's all good, and transitioning from that show forced me and allowed me to do a lot of other really creative things. The delivery was the best that it could have been from a man that I respect. He had the really shitty job of calling me and letting me know that I wasn't coming back. My contract was up, so I can't really say I got fired. They didn't renew my contract. But you would like to have a face-to-face with all the powers to be, and you would like to be respected in the same way that they hired you and celebrated you. It just doesn't happen that way. And it's really disappointing, but I'm super realistic in in the game of the entertainment business. So, but I'm driving down PCH and I have my kids in the car and I'm on the, I'm not on the phone. I'm on my hands-free phone, but you're like, wait, what? Wait, hang on. Let me can I call you back? I mean, it's kind of like, that's just not the way that I would conduct business or fire anyone, even in my business. So you'd be really surprised.
Brooke, I have seen so many huge execs where it's the same thing you're saying, where they will bring people in, hire them. It's kumbaya. It's exciting. And the second it comes to letting them go, it's like, I don't want to see them. I don't want to, I don't want to have to do the face-to-face because that's the hard part. is seeing someone that you're changing their life. So like this is such
Yeah.
a common story in Hollywood, and a lot of people that we've talked to as well. It's like, I'm just going to hide behind the people I can send out to do it.
Yeah.
So I'm not even
I think it's shitty.
surprised.
I think it's shitty and cowardly. I'll be honest, but I will say it's sort of like breaking up with someone. And I have this conversation with my girlfriends and even men. They're like, "Do you really want to go to lunch with someone to hear the bad news to tell you that they're leaving you? Or would you rather just sort of get the slow fade, or would you rather get the call?" And it's such, there's such a decision making process in that, right? I don't know. I would imagine that letting someone go and being that person is as difficult as the person on the receiving end.
Yeah.
You know, I think I took it all with grace and supported the franchise and the network because I had such an amazing time on there, and it was such a positive run for me. And I really enjoyed every single person that I worked with. And I think we all had a great working relationship, and it was time for change. So I didn't take it personally at all. And I made a commitment, and, you know, publicly, that it was important for me. The style in which I walked out is the way I walked in. The way I left that show was as important to me as the way I entered that show. So I did it with gratitude and with grace. So I'm just able to look back now and answer these questions honestly, because it's like, it's just there's no right or wrong way to do it, you know? Yeah, you'd like a respectful, I guess. I don't know if I'd like a face-to-face, to be honest. I don't know.
No, I think face to face.
I don't know.
How far did you find out in advance before the media, it hit the news?
Not long at all, because it was a call, and then it was a personal conversation with Tom, and then the conversations with my team. And then what happens is, you know, with a network, then everybody wants to address the press release and how it's going to happen. And, you know, normally they do it with respect, with talent. You know, how do you want to approach it, and what do you want to say, and what story do you want to tell? And for me, I was just like, let's just tell the real story. I don't need to make up any story on this to benefit anybody. It is what it is, and let's make the most of it. So, but not long. I mean, I would say the next day. There's not a lot of time, because somebody will find out, right? And you kind of want to run that. You know, you want to ride that wave yourself and control it. So
okay, so Dancing with the Stars ends, but there's always, like you said, a silver lining to a one chapter closing and another opening. What was that next thing that you feel like? Was it your workout apps, your fitness stuff? Like, what is it that you are now like, I'm glad that I've had the freedom to do all this stuff because I don't have that.
Yeah,
you know?
no, totally. I think fortunately I had, you know, great relationships, and didn't burn any bridges. I had great working relationships with all the different production teams and live events teams. So, you know, what it allowed me to do was to sort of pound the pavement from LA to New York and take every meeting, and then go back to the drawing board, where contractually I wasn't able to do a lot of other things before. So it allowed me to explore that. It allowed me to produce some shows, to create some shows, to sort of roll up my sleeves and think, wow, what do I want to do now? And in a beautiful way, it allowed me to spend a lot more time with my children at a time, a precious time in their lives during that pause. And then I started sort of just designing and, you know, my wellness business and my app business. And then, you know, building that team, which I would not have been able to do. And because I'm a creative, I had time, and I knew that I had to spend the same kind of energy building something else. So I think it was the right time. I mean, I was there for 7 seasons. It was amazing. It was an amazing run.
How did you even get the job to become host? Like, you went from dancer champion to host. How'd that conversation happen?
They were going through a change, and auditioned everyone under the sun that was in the female, you know, host world, and then some. And I actually wanted to audition, and they didn't ask me to audition because they already knew that I was coming from CBS, and I'd done plenty of live television, and I had the mirror ball. So it kind of made sense on paper, but they wanted to go through the process of auditioning everyone else. And I asked them, I called the EP and asked to audition. They were like, you don't need to do that, Brooke. I was like, no, I want to do that, because I also knew it was a chemistry thing with Tom. So I actually called on my own, outside of my management, and asked to audition. And I'm glad I did, because I think that's when you get to see the chemistry of two people, you know, especially two hosts.
Yeah.
And I was thrilled. I wanted that gig, and I was thrilled. And it was a really important choice for me in my career at the time. And there's just not a lot of shows like that. There's not a lot of great live gigs.
Sure. And it's one, how many auditions? You just did one audition?
Yeah, I just did one, and I'm glad
That's
I
pretty
did.
cool.
I mean, it wasn't beneath me. I think those moments are important, without
you-
an ego.
Do you still talk to Tom?
Yeah, sometimes. I mean, he's on the East Coast, and life has taken such a shift for all of us. But yeah, we stay in touch.
Yeah, how's he doing? Because I miss him. I miss him
I know.
tremendously.
He was such a great friend, and great co-host, and so brilliant at what he does. I haven't talked to him in a long time, so I don't know. But every time I do, he's always doing great. I think he's enjoying life in Connecticut.
That's awesome.
And slowing way down.
When's the last time you went for an audition?
Oh God. Not for a long time. It's funny. Somebody called me to do a test just this past week, and I was like, in person? I'm like, are we back? And I didn't go because it wasn't juicy enough for me, but not for so long, and that's the bittersweet curse too of coming from a big show like that, is people either think you won't do something, not good enough, or they just know who you are and you don't really need to audition. It's kind of funny, really.
Is it weird though, like when you kind of go for a role, because you're like in the role, like you're known and you're successful, and I feel like for what you do, there's a lot of people, like you kind of know who else is in your ballpark.
Yeah.
So like when you go for auditions, like do you see the same people, or are you always up for the same group of people for the same exact type of job?
I haven't auditioned for so long, but I guess if there was a hosting gig for a female host, I guess it's kind of the same. I feel like I feel so out of that space now, like, yeah, back in the day, but now I don't even know. Just the world has shifted. Everything has shifted culturally.
Yeah.
And there's not a lot of live shows, being made anymore.
Well, it's funny because I feel like you, in my opinion, were the first ever like travel host, at least for my generation, and that was with Wild on E. That to me was it was great background TV. It was cool. And that was like my first, I guess, step into kind of travel TV. And I feel like everyone wants to do a show like that. And it's funny. I met with a production company once, and they're like, yeah, everyone's going to pitch Wild on 2.0.
Yeah.
That's just
because everyone wants to travel the world for free and have fun. Like it's the greatest concept. You lived out everyone's dream.
I lived out so many of my own dreams. I mean, it was reality TV before reality TV, and it was guerrilla and ghetto, and it was one cameraman and one sound man, and we made it up. We didn't know what we were doing. We had a young crew. I had the time of my life. I did 40 countries in 2 years. It was
wow.
I couldn't have dreamt it, to be honest.
That's insane.
Yeah, and if you think about it, like the world we live in now, everybody can go create their own reality television, like, on their phone, and like be an influencer and get paid to like wear this and do that and go there. I had the time of my life. It was amazing, and I love to travel. That show allowed me, a foundation of knowing exactly what I will and won't do in the future. It was so much fun.
Yeah, what was the best place you went to? The one part that was actually the wildest place you went to. Was it Ibiza at that time? That's my guess.
Bingo, ding. Ibiza, yeah, I mean, crazy. But we did weird stuff too, like hedonism and naked twister, and like I didn't. But I mean, when you go to these other countries and then you have to edit it for America, because remember, Wild on and E was on in 120 countries around the world.
Yeah.
So I still go to these other countries, and I'm still I'll always be the Wild on girl, no matter what I've done. I'm like, that E runs, 24/7 in so many places. Ibiza was crazy, DJs, parties, beaches, all of it. But I also had a chance to just grow and develop my palate, culturally speaking, and discover different flavors and interview chefs. And when I think about people like Anthony Bourdain and the kind of shows that he did, like I would have loved to evolve a show like that to have more culture and more flavor and more education, and not just the party. I think I survived Wild on for 2 years, and I was like, oh, I need to unpack my bags now, guys. But I also was pregnant and had 2 kids during that time, which nobody knew. So I really wasn't the party girl. I was really kind of faking it. Like I would do my intros and outros, and I had a baby on the road with me. Like I never left her at home.
Wow.
So baby
I didn't even know
Naraya
that. That's
did all
crazy.
40 countries with me. So I was sober and I had a baby with me, and nobody ever knew that.
So
Most of the shows I was sober after I gave birth. I wasn't always sober, but
I think that being said, you know, we've watched you basically have consistent work since that time, and you're raising kids. How did you balance being a working mother, having kids, being on set? Like, how did you do that?
I didn't have a super fun social life. I really carved out downtime at home as a family to balance that as much as I could. I loved working. I was able to take my baby on the road with me. So I never compromised that bond, which a lot of women maybe wouldn't do. It was for me. I didn't know any other way. It was Naraya and I against the world. We really were a package deal. Thank God for the baby Bichorn. But I loved working, and I didn't let being a mommy stop that. I was able to do all of those things. And even now, you know, even though I missed certain things because I've had so many children and I had a demanding career, I was able to kind of guide my children and teach them that these are boundaries, and mommy gets to do this just like you get to do that. And I'm here for you, and I might miss this, but this is why. I had a working mother. Like my mom worked 3 jobs, and she was a really loving mom. So I think that was familiar to me, and we communicated a lot, and I made up for, you know, time missed with quality time. And we kind of raised each other and my family, my kids, myself. I count on my older daughters a lot. You know, even today I had a morning press day. So my 19-year-old took her little sister to go to her dentist appointment and back to school. And she's picking her up for me right now. Like all these things where I do for you, you do for me, you know, and I expect that in my family. We raise each other, really.
So
That's cool.
Yeah.
Dax and I always has debate when we talk about this, but especially in Malibu. Did you ever do paparazzi setup shots?
In what way?
Like just like kind of fluid, organic, like it's supposed to seem like caught, but it's like, no, we're working together.
You're so funny. Like fashion stuff. Yeah. Lots of things are set up. Yeah, totally. And not pretending for it to be a comp moment, but, you know, knowing how to maximize press in this business and knowing the value of marketing and photography. And I also have great relationships with paparazzi where people always bag on them. I value them. I understand what it means. And I think because I'm nice to them and I have those relationships, there's been times where I'm just like, okay, I'm just going to give you this photo. Like, what is it that you're after? So then you can leave me alone rather than fighting it.
Sure.
Fighting it makes you look bad and they're never going to leave you alone. And I'm so used to the familiar faces that, you know, we all work together. And it works great. I mean,
it's great. Yeah, no, I get it. Especially in Malibu, you see the same guys.
Yeah.
We are all about it because we talk to so many celebs, and like, of course. Like, I think that the one of the most interesting conversations we had with Brian Austin Green, who was like, yeah, but having them under your wing when you go on vacation and you're in Hawaii, like, have the photos so that you'll leave us alone for the rest of the week.
It's so true. And you know, yes, there was a time back in the day before the digital world where it was hard to move or do anything. Not for me, because I was never that famous, but in my neighborhood and, you know, seeing people just, you know, preventing people in the business from even being able to go out and eat and things like that and having babies, and just that there was no protection. That whole world has changed right now because people aren't buying photos and reading magazines as much. So photos aren't as valuable. So there really are less paparazzis. But I will say, we're in the business. So, you know, if people weren't taking, that's what I would say to celebrities, weren't taking your picture, you'd be pretty bummed out about it, right? So
exactly.
It's kind of the nature of the business.
If that paparazzi stands there and doesn't even lift his camera, you're like, something's wrong.
You know what I mean?
All right. I know we're running out of time with you. Do you mind if we play 2 quick games with you?
No, not at all.
So we do the speed round with a lot of people, and we just rapid fire questions at them. You give us your first answer. You don't have to overthink them. Just with first thing that comes out of your mouth. I'm going to go first. What is your favorite food?
Pizza.
Okay. Your favorite type of workout?
Booty burn.
What was it? Booty burn?
At least one answer? Like, am I giving you? Yeah, booty burn.
That's
Booty burn,
perfect.
She did it yesterday. I saw it.
Thanks.
I follow you.
All right. What was your favorite season of Dancing with the Stars?
My season. The
Well, I
season
mean,
of-
like, can you say a couple of the contestants that were on so we know what season it would have been?
My season, and I don't mean because I won. My season, I was on with Kim Kardashian, Warren Sapp. So I had so many amazing people on my season. Backstreet Boy, like my season was amazing because it was such an eclectic group.
Love it.
Season 7, I think it was 7.
Your most overrated restaurant in LA.
Oh, they're really gonna be mad at me. Giorgio Baldi.
Oh,
Dax,
you
you
know
agree
who's
or
gonna be
disagree?
mad at you? Rihanna's gonna be mad at you. She loves that place.
No.
What's the one food that everyone loves but you can't get into?
Ravioli.
What?
I know. I don't like ravioli. It's too soft. I don't like cream. I don't like my pasta al dente. I don't like homemade pasta. I don't like ravioli. I don't like soft pasta.
All right.
Okay. Last celeb that you met that you were starstruck from.
This is a long time ago. You want? Okay.
Yeah.
Prince. I was hopelessly devoted and madly in love with Prince.
Nice.
I know. I'll always be
Biggest-
madly in love with Prince.
Biggest celeb to dip into your DMs, and I'm not talking like a bad thing. Just maybe they're a fan, or maybe they just wanted to say hi.
Or maybe there's post David.
This is not a joke. I am being dead serious. You have to take this for real. I do not get DMs. And it's not because it's shut. I know. I knew you were going to. I knew you were going to go.
I was waiting for you're not going to believe it, but it's Oprah. No, you can't give me the. No,
Oprah,
I don't
please
even
DM
have
me.
DMs.
Please DM me, Oprah. I don't get. I swear, and I'm not like. I don't even get like and I'm not. Okay, now I'm going to get a shit ton of weird DMs. Okay, I'm being serious. And my girlfriend's like, that's because it's turned. I'm like, no, it's not. Look, I mean, like crickets. I mean, like no one. I mean, when I was single, no one. No one.
How is that even possible? That's like
I wanted DMs when I was single, guys. I'm not oh poor me. I don't get
You guys
DMs.
lost your chance. You lost their chance.
I just DM'd you. I said hi.
You did.
I did. See, look, you got a DM now. Too bad it's no
I'm
one.
gonna screenshot it and save it if I only knew where to find it.
Yeah, I'm sure you don't know where it is. What's the movie you see? What's the movie you've seen the most? You've watched the most.
This is so bad. Breakfast at Tiffany's. It's like my favorite. I watch it with my mom. It's my old classic.
All right, my last question. You've hosted.
Or Meet Joe Black. Meet Joe Black. I love too. I'm
that's
laughing because I know that's corny.
a good movie. Good movie. You've hosted a lot of TV shows. Which one was your favorite to host?
Well, I mean, Wild On for a gazillion reasons, but Rockstar in Excess was so much fun to be part of a rock and roll show, discovering epic talent that was nice, and we weren't making fun of anybody. It was really like, the year we did it with In Excess, it was just amazing.
My last question is, how much craziness was going on this season with Antonio Brown? How hard was he on the show? How difficult was he?
What season? What do you?
The football player, Antonio Brown, the wide receiver. Remember when he came on?
I don't
know his season. I heard he was very, very difficult. I
don't remember.
Maybe he wasn't on her season.
He wasn't. Warren Sapp was on my season.
Not your season, but while you're hosting the show.
I don't remember. Did I forget him?
Okay. All right, then I'll change
Wait,
that.
Was he the forgettable baller? I don't remember.
All right.
Wait, hold on. Give me the team. Give me more. At
the time he was. Well, he's on the Buccaneers now, but then he.
I don't think I was there, guys.
Okay. Could be wrong.
Sorry, Antonio, if I
It
was.
could be wrong. No, it's all right.
Okay, if
What's
I
the-
was there, he must have been amazing. He must have
Yeah.
been so great.
All right. Then what's a job that you turned down that you kind of regret? Something like, damn, I should have fucking maybe did that. That would have been pretty cool.
I know. I made it a policy not to regret stuff like that.
Okay, I've got one then.
I know.
I've got one.
What?
You have some really amazing friends who all live in Malibu.
Yeah.
Who has the coolest house?
Oh, Mark Burnett and Roma Downey.
Oh, I can only imagine. That's survivor money right there.
I know. Cliffside, like dinners under the tree with like this heater that doesn't even burn the tree, and the ocean, and we always joke around. We're like, cue the dolphins, cue the dolphins,
Cue dolphins and go. That's
and
awesome.
sunset and action. I know.
All right, so I was gonna play one more game. I think we're out of time. We got to wrap this up. I know you got another interview right back to this, but I just want to say thank you. You were so honest and real. I think all the discussion about ayahuasca was so fascinating to me because I know nothing about it. But
I feel like I'm getting in trouble with my publicist. I'm like all the bashing that we did in the honesty. Look, I don't know how to do it any other way. So don't get me in trouble, guys.
No, it's all good. It's fun. It's interesting.
No,
I respect and I appreciate your just realness. It's just it's great. It's refreshing.
Thank you.
Okay, wait, we're gonna do one last thing because I want to promote your all your workout stuff. So we're gonna play one last game. I'm gonna throw it in here. Okay.
Thank you.
I want you to rank your workout programs from number 1 to number 6. Okay, and I'm gonna show you the artwork. And you tell me which one is your number 1 workout. So is it Summer Slim Down?
Okay.
The New Year, New Norm?
Okay.
Home for the Holidays? 28-day Quarantine?
Ooh.
The 4-week Ab Attack Challenge? Or the 4-week Booty Challenge? Which is the number 1 workout for you?
Okay, so 4-week booty challenge is number 1.
Okay.
Ab Attack is going to be number 2 because they're short and sweet. It's 5 minutes to like totally reshape your core. Quarantine, because we were all stuck at home and we were all dying because all our classes were taken away and everyone was freaking out.
As I say, you look very happy on the cover for being locked up inside.
I know, right? That was like 28 days of survival guide. So that was number 3. New year, new norm. I'm so sick of that. It's going to be new year, renew this year because it's like new rules, new way of living. Home for the holidays. We were all so sick of being home for the holidays. That's number 6. That was last year. We're kicking off a new holiday handful that's going to be way more fun. But the challenges are like 4 weeks of change your booty, sculpt your abs, short and sweet, sweaty. They work.
Awesome.
So, yeah.
And then where can they get all these? You have an app, right?
Yeah, so Brooke Body in the App Store, but I'm also on Samsung, Roku, Vizio. So you can actually authenticate it and light me up in the living room, create a little digital gym. We're not all going back to classes yet. We're all not grinding for an hour in traffic anymore. Like you can get it done at home. We're launching a really fun kitchen program for Thanksgiving too. And it's a bunch of bar workouts using the kitchen bar that you could do while you're in the kitchen with the family making dinner. So some really fun stuff. And I'm easy to find. So
that's awesome. And you can also DM her. She will respond to
because I love oh my God.
Oh, Brooke, you've been awesome. Thank you so much.
Bye, guys.
That was good.
That was fun. She was awesome. I liked her a lot.
Yeah, she's cool. I liked her a lot. Again, always respect a girl who just is like open and has fun and like non-judgmental. And no.
Let me tell you the best part. So we will often jump on with a publicist or a manager right before, and they're like introducing the client and say, okay, when she comes on, and they will either say, you can't talk about this, can't talk about this. The manager goes, she's an open book. Ask her whatever. She's awesome. And I was like, yes, like that is the best way to possibly start an interview.
It is. But usually when they say that to us, we're like, okay. And then we mute them. And then we tell the guest to turn their phone off and say, close the door. And then just
Now tell us your deep, darkest secrets.
tell us, how did your dad affect you? No, but she was really cool, really interesting. It's just, for me, it's like there's, it's these dumb questions that we kind of do where it's like, tell us how it happens. Like, how do you kind of, I think getting let go from a job is very common, but how does it work in the entertainment business? How does it work as a host, that's on TV? So I just love her honesty, but it's just, it's reassuring in a way.
I liked the Tyra conversation because I could tell that there's more to it than she was talking about. And I think, and I don't think it's because necessarily she has poor feelings towards Tyra. I think Tyra has created an atmosphere, is what it sounds like, and that Brooke knows everyone from that show. So I'm assuming people are talking to her and just being like, this is not working. And she can't say it. She's not there.
Yeah.
But I think that she doesn't want to rat out her friends, but I think that it's not the best working environment is what I'm understanding.
Yeah. But again, I respect her even to accept the question, because a lot of people would dance around it, and she kind of
I like what you did there. Danced around a youth.
Dance with stars. Guys, you can find the Hollywood Raw podcast on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, Twitter. We're on it all. Trust me, we got really cool content. We got some really cool guests coming up. You can find me at Adam Glyn, Glyn. You can find Dax Holt at DAXHOLT. Make sure you leave a review, and if you leave a review, we'll read your review live on air. We're going to be giving away prizes and stuff like that. The best you can do to support this podcast is 5-star, say a few kind words,
and please go if you're just listening to the podcast version, head on over to the YouTube page. We got a ton of videos. You can also just find us at hollywoodraw.com. That's an easy way to do it as well. But subscribe, I think that's very helpful. And then we started up this private Facebook group, so we can chat directly to you guys. The true fans, they head to the private Facebook page and then ask us questions. We'll respond to them.
Very cool. With that, guys, girls, non-genders, non-binaries, whatever you are, we will see you next time.
Bye.
Guys, hope you like that video. We got a lot more where that came from.
Hit that bell, like, subscribe, share with a friend. The best thing you do to support us is really doing that. And we really need the money because we need hair gel.